Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And today I have a special video for you. I want to talk about the new Chaos Legion reward cards, and talk about how they are very specialized, but also very essential. Now, I'm going to break down each one of these cards, talk about their strengths and where they fit in to the meta. And then at the end of the video, we're going to go through our Tales from the Cryptmancer's top 5 general values here for these cards. So definitely want to stick around for that. So let's get into it, because I think this is a very interesting topic for us to review today. So let's start with the Bloodmaker. So the Bloodmaker is, like many of the new Chaos Legion reward cards, very useful in a specialized circumstance. But in that circumstance is, probably one of the best in the business for what it does. So now the primary specialization for the Bloodmaker is for use with Yodin. Now, secondary specializations for this card, where it can be very useful, would be the explosive weaponry rule set, as well as when you know you're going to be facing enemy taunters because of the scatter shot and the ability to get around the taunt. Now, support synergies that help the Bloodmaker do its job better are like a summoner like Quid, for example, with the penetration, or Rust, if you have a support monster with Rust to take away shields or armor from your opponent. Now, from a general perspective, if we look at the silver rating, like if I had a Tarsa as a summoner, for example, for Chaos Legion and the general rare summoner, and I had this at the silver level, which is the right-hand picture here, the silver level there, level 5 common. For this particular card, I would generally rate this as a D rating for this card if I want to bring Tarsa, because, well, really, quite honestly, for 5 mana, 3 archery damage, and scattershot isn't really a game changer. There's probably other things I would want to bring with my Tarsa team other than the Bloodmaker. So from a general silver rating, not very high. But if we look at this, for example, if I'm using it with Yodin as its primary specialization, or an explosive weaponry battle at the silver level, then this card becomes a game changer. This becomes an A rating card, as it can use its splash damage with 3 archery and spread it all over the field. Now, at the diamond and champ rating, when used with Yodin, here we can see that is a left-hand card here, where it has 4 archery damage, 6 speed with scattershot and cripple. At its max level here with Yodin, it becomes obviously an A rating as well. It's just a beast of a card, and you really want to get it to a target level of 4, so you get the splash damage on the blast to be 2 damage across the blast there. So that's the minimum target level if you're looking to use this card on a budget. But obviously, as a pretty cheap common card, if you can get it to max level for your league that you're specializing using this, then that's a good thing. Now, if you look at the next card here, the next card is Countess Sinash. Her primary specialization, again, is Yodin, and because she brings Blast and Opportunity, a secondary specialization for her would be Fog of War. For example, when you can't use Sneak or Snipe, she becomes a good card because she has Opportunity. Now, her support synergies are similar to the Bloodmaker, in that Quid or the Rust support ability become very beneficial to her. And from a generalist perspective, if we look at her card at silver, which is the right-hand card here, at level 2, her generalized rating that I would give her for a Tarsa team, for example, or a Pyre team, is an A rating, because she has Camouflage, Swiftness, and Opportunity with good damage at 3 melee or 3 archery or range damage. So, this kit, Camouflage, Swiftness, and Opportunity, is very good. It's similar to Lyra the Dark, but I think possibly a little bit better because of the Camouflage. So I give her a rating of A for just a generalized silver rating for everyday players. Now, if you use her in a specialized scenario, for example, with Yodin, At the silver level, she becomes an A rating, even better than at the generalized rating because, well, Jotun just makes her better with the increased archery damage and the blast. And at the diamond champ rating, you want a minimum target level of 4 for her if you use her with Quid, for example. But if you use her with Jotun, level 3 is sufficient because you don't need the blast. And you get still the 4 archery or range damage. So for her, using in a specialized champ setting with Jotun, yeah, pretty much a must-have with the swiftness, with the opportunity, and the high archery damage and the camouflage. Pretty much a auto include in any Jotun team moving forward at mid to high mana. Now, the next card we're going to talk about is the Mer Dampier. And the Mer Dampier primary specializations are going to be when you have an unprotected rule set or an explosive weaponry rule set. It can also be used as a secondary specialization in earthquake rule sets. Let's talk about why. In unprotected, basically, you're going to be able to get use of that life leech ability pretty quickly because you're not going to have to get through armor. And in explosive weaponry, again, life leech works with blast damage, so that is also very good for the Mer Dampier. And earthquake becomes good really only at max level when you can get advantage or take advantage of the snare ability for the Mer Dampier. Support synergies that help this card would be Rust, because it gets rid of the armor, so it allows that life leech to hit the juicy health of your opponent right away. And from a general silver rating, like if I'm using Kelia or Vera or Bordis, for 4 mana, you can see the silver stats in this card, 2 archer damage with life leech. I get this card really an F rating. Like, there's probably not many scenarios that I'm going to want to use the Mer Dampier with those summoners and without any specific rule sets that favor this card, just because for 4 mana, I think there's just much better cards out there that I would rather play with Bordis or with Vera or with Kelia than this particular card. So I don't see it as a generalist card that's going to be used very much. Now, as a specialized silver rating, I give it a rating of a D here because, well, you know, explosive weaponry with life leech is fine, but you're only getting the 1 splash damage for the life leech because you only get 2 archery damage here. So it's not super great. And because there's no neutral or other water cards that have life leech ability, you can't really tag team it with other life leech cards to take advantage of the explosive weaponry rule set. So I really don't think this is a great card, even at the specialized level. And at max level, which is the left-hand card stats here, from a specialized perspective, I give it a C rating. You know, you're going to want to have it at minimum target level of 10 to maximize its specialization here. But even at max level here, I just don't see it being a super great card for the reasons we've already discussed, even at the specialized level, and I give it a C rating, even in its specialized use cases. Now, the next card we're going to talk about is the Tidebiter. Now, the Tidebiter here has specializations of explosive weaponry and Jotun defense. And the reason for that is because of his Reflect Shield ability. Now, secondary specializations, you can use them on Kraken Turtle teams if you have Kraken and want to protect from blast damage, your healers and your cleansers from blast damage. It's a cheap way to do that and a cheap way to bring a Kraken Turtle team here pretty inexpensively to get that protection. Normally you might use Bakjira for that, which is 6 mana, which is a little bit more expensive. Now, support synergies for this card are Inspire, and if you are using this card at a general level at silver, like with a Kelia or a Bordis, for example, I give this card a rating of a D, just in a general stand-up fight, you know, for 3 mana with reach, you know, without those scenario conditions being in play, like Jotun or explosive weaponry. It's just not a great card. So I don't see it being played very frequently in that scenario. Now, in a silver rating, in a specialized scenario, for example, when you know Jotun's coming or you have explosive weaponry as a rule set, then this becomes an A rating card. It's going to be a card you absolutely will want to play in those scenarios. And at the champ level, which is the left-hand card picture here for its stats, you get a little bit increased damage and get True Strike. Really, you only need target level 3 just to get the Reflection Shield if you're on a budget to get benefits of this card. And again, for the specialized use case of explosive weaponry or Jotun defense, it's an A rating card in my opinion. Now, the next card here is the Vampire Bat, and the primary specialization or use cases for this card would be when you have an up close and personal rule set, so melee only, or lost magic, when you don't have to worry about magic damage, for example. And secondary specializations or rule sets would be Spreading Fury, Sneak Protection as a general use case for this card, because not a lot of sneak monsters have magic damage. And then Melee Mayhem, Equal Opportunity as well from a rule set perspective. Now, support synergies for this card that make it even better are when you use it with Byzantine Kitty as a summoner, or when you can give it Swiftness or Protect. Now, from a general silver rating perspective, if you were to use it with, for example, Obsidian or the Wizard of Eastwood in just a stand-up general scenario, I give the card a D rating. It's low mana, but it's also low health and low melee damage, so not really useful in a stand-up fight per se with no underlying conditions. But when we get to a specialized scenario, like up close and personal or lost magic, at the silver level, I give it a B rating. It's got flight and it's got decent speed of 4 speed, so it's got a base 65% dodge rate or evade rate to work with against melee and archery damage, which is reasonable, especially for 3 mana. It kind of becomes like a Cockatrice in the modern version a little bit for this cheap mana. Cockatrice is a little bit less expensive at 2 mana, but this card is still equivalent there. And at the diamond or champ level, if you look at that, that's the left-hand column where this card gets 5 speed, 3 melee damage, and dodge. I give this card an A rating. So when you use it in an up close and personal or a lost magic battle as a tank, a cheap tank, for example, becomes very frustrating for your opponent to hit, even more so when supported by Kitty or with Spreading Fury. And I give this an A rating for when used in that specific scenario or condition. And the minimum target level you're going to want to get on this card if you're on a budget at the champion level is going to be level 6. The next card here I want to talk about is the Vampiric Blossom. Now, the primary time that you would want to use this card is when you're going against a Llama Cube or a Llama Kron or Llama Golem or Llama Mercenary, for example, because of either the Oppress for the Llama Cube combined with the Death Blow, or just the Death Blow for the Llama Kron, Golem, or Merc's combination there. Now, secondary specializations on when this card can be useful would be Keep Your Distance rule sets, or when you have Noxious Fumes, because at the higher levels it gets immunity. Support synergies for this card, similar to other archer units, would be Rust. And if you're looking for my rating for this card, if you're a general silver player, not going against Llama or any of these specific rule sets, I give it a rating of an F, because generally speaking, you're not going to want to use this card with Wizard of Eastwood or Obsidian for 5 mana. Getting 2 archery damage just doesn't make sense. Now, if you are using it in a specialized setting, for example, against Llama Cube, Llama Kron, Golem, or Mercenary, I give it a B rating at the silver level, only because it it's not as effective in a Noxious Fume / Llama Cube battle. But generally speaking, against Llama Kron, Golem, or Mercenary, it's silver. It's going to be effective for you. Now, at the diamond or champ rating for the specialized scenario here, you're going to want a minimum target level of 8 to get the immunity. And here I give it an A rating against Llama Cube, Llama Kron, Golem, Mercenary, or Noxious Fumes battles with those creatures. Yeah, this card is a must play in those scenarios to give you the edge. Now, the next card here is the Volguin. Now, the primary specializations for this card are you're going to want to use it when you have a Melee Mayhem an equal opportunity, or a super sneak rule set. And generally speaking, you probably want to place the Volguin in the 4th or 5th position, which seems counterintuitive because it's a melee unit. But the reason why you want to do that is you want it to use its scavenge ability to build up its health. So by the time it gets up to the front line, it will be able to do decent damage and have decent health to work with as a off tank, and allow whatever is in your 5th or 6th position to still do work if it's an archery or a weaker magic unit. So in that scenario, it's very useful. Secondary specializations would be Equalizer to help shore up its health and help ramp up its scavenge health abilities quicker. Now, support synergies, Inspire to give it more damage, especially when enraged. And also, it works really well with Dr. Blight sitting behind it. Now, as a generalist perspective at the silver level, I give it a C rating because it's a low mana, and you can certainly use it with Sloan, like I said, in the 4 or 5 position as an off tank as you're coming up the line, because it is pretty inexpensive, and it will give your archers in the 5th or 6th position some extra time to fire, hopefully. So it's not terrible. At the specialized silver rating, when using specifically in conditions where it can attack while it's ramping up its health, even better, I give it a B rating. And at the champ or diamond level, you're going to want to target max level 8 to get Enrage on it and the dodge. And at that level, it's just a great card for 2 mana. If you use it in a specialized setting, you really can't go wrong with this card. I think it's underrated, and I think it's going to be very valuable in the meta for the life team in the future. Now, the next card we're going to talk about is Jared Scar. Jared Scar is similar to the Volguin in how you would use it. You would want to specialize, use it in rule sets such as Melee Mayhem, Equal Opportunity, or Super Sneak. Also useful when you have the Equalizer rule set, because this doesn't have a lot of health, generally speaking. Support synergies that really make it shine would be Inspire. And generally speaking, at a silver level, if you just use it with Sloan, it doesn't have piercing. It does have Bloodlust, though, and it does have True Strike at silver level. So, even if you use it as an off tank in a General Sloan battle, it's not terrible. It's a C rating. Again, it's kind of like a Desert Dragon, when not used in a specialized fashion. It's just kind of weak to magic and to, it just doesn't have a lot of health, so it's not going to stick around for very long. But with the right timing, Bloodlust could keep it in the battle for a while. Now, at the specialized silver rating, so when using it in a Melee Mayhem, Equal Opportunity, Super Sneak, or Equalizer battle, I give it a B rating at the silver level. And when it gets to champ or diamond is when it really shines, because it gets the piercing and the extra melee damage. There, you're going to want to get it at a target level of 4 or max level to get the piercing unlocked and the maximum damage there to take advantage of that piercing ability. And yeah, at max level in those specialized rule sets, this card is a beast for sure. Now, the next card we're going to talk about is the Ever Hungry Skull. And this card is actually quite useful. Its primary specializations would be on Equalizer scenarios where it gets equalized health. So its health goes from 1 to whatever the highest is in the game in that particular battle, or for sneak protection, because again, generally speaking, most sneak attacks don't have magic, right? So this would be a good sneak attack protection here. Now, secondary specializations, when you have weak magic or lost magic, or you have Melee Mayhem, Equal Opportunity, or Super Sneak. Those are all great scenarios to use this card as well. And as you can see there, with this card being a common card, it's got a lot of usefulness actually for death here. And I think this is honestly the most valuable common of the new Chaos Legion reward cards. Now, support synergies that are going to make this card very good include Protect and Inspire. And as a general silver player, like if you're using Thaddeus, Brood, or Contessa, and just a general lineup, well, I would say this card is probably a B rating, because you can usually use it in like a sneak protect role pretty easily without having to have any special scenario conditions in play. Now, if you're using it with any of the above scenario conditions that we talked about for specializations, which there are numerous of them, this card gets an A rating at the silver level when using that specialized scenario, and at the champ or diamond level as well. You don't want to target a minimum level of 6 to get the thorns here. Honestly, it's a common card, so it's not very expensive, so you probably want to max it out if possible. And at these levels, I give it an A rating for the specialized diamond champ level. The next card here is the Revealer. Its primary specializations here are when you, similar to the other Magic Reflect units, explosive weaponry scenarios or Jotun defense. Secondary specializations, Noxious Fumes at max level here because it gets immunity. Support synergies here that help this card out would be slow or swiftness, allowing it to get its stun off earlier. And general silver rating, I give it an A actually for a general card. Like if you're using it with Thaddeus Brood or Contessa with 4 mana here at the level 3 for Epic max level silver, it gets 2 magic damage with stun. And it's the only card with stun at these silver levels here, or at least at the bronze level. So I give it a general rating of A. I think most collections will have a use for this card at every level. And at the specialized rating for silver, I give it a B+, only because it can't take advantage of the Noxious Fume specialization at the silver level, or with the Reflect Shield. So it still is useful with it for its stun ability, but just not really, it's not able to use the specialized rule sets. Now it really shines at the Diamond Champ level. Again, you want to get it to level 6, so you get the Reflect Shield and the immunity. But here you get really be able to use its specialization here of explosive weaponry, Jotun defense, and Noxious Fumes with the immunity. So again, all in all, a really good card across all levels of the game. Every player should get useful out of this card. The next card I want to talk about is the Dampier Infiltrator. Its primary specialization are when you want to put a lot of sneak damage on your team, and its secondary specialization is, well, it's cheap DPS here on the dragon side. Now, support synergies that really make this shine are Inspire. Inspire gets it up to 6 damage across 2 attacks. Other support synergies that help it out would be Protect, Swiftness, or Slow. From a general silver rating, you're going to get double strike, sneak, and 2 melee damage per attack. So I give this an A rating for any player pretty much to get useful production out of this card. And the specialized silver rating is also an A because obviously if you couple it with like a Uraeus or then maybe a Pelacor Bandit, you can really get some great sneak attack damage with a dragon team. Now this kind of card simulates a Silver Shield Assassin on the life team with about half the mana cost, but it doesn't provide poison. But it's still a really good card. And at the specialized diamond or champ level, you're going to want to get it to a minimum target level of 5, which is going to unlock the cripple ability, which is nice just when you start hitting armor first. And again, at the diamond or champ level for 4 mana, this card is great, and I give it an A rating across that level as well. Now, this next card we're going to talk about is the last card of the Chaos Agent War cards. It is Venator Kinjo. Its primary specializations would be explosive weaponry rule sets or Jotun defense, but it also has secondary specializations of Noxious Fumes, and it also provides inexpensive neutral support at the higher levels with Amplify and Slow for 2 mana in a neutral card. So support synergies that help this monster out would be Dr. Blight. Putting Dr. Blight behind this card is nice. And, well, I can't spell camouflage apparently, so just ignore that text there. But if you have camouflage monsters like a Magi Necrosi or something similar like a Supply or Sunescavo Hireling with camouflage, it can protect it from blast damage where those monsters may be vulnerable. Now, general silver rating for most purposes, I mean, I give it an A. You know, a 2 mana neutral card with a Reflect Shield here in camouflage and immunity. Yep, definitely useful you're probably only going to use it in the specialized scenarios anyways, so it's the same rating for specialized here. And at the diamond champ level, again, an A rating, you're going to want to get it at max level to level 4 so you can take advantage of the amplify and the slow support abilities here. But across all levels, every player in the game should get benefit out of Venator Kinjo. Now, for what you've been waiting for, we're going to talk about across all these Chaos Legion reward cards, even though most of them get the most value and benefit when they're used in specialized rule sets or battle conditions, we're going to talk about where the value is across all levels, including bronze or silver, especially when you look at potential future resale value or desire once these cards are out of print. And here is my analysis. My top 5 reward cards for general value in this new series of Chaos Legion reward cards. Number 1 for me is Dampier Infiltrator. I think this card is going to be something that every player in the game is going to want to have access to in the future, regardless of level, bronze, silver, etc. Doesn't matter. Venator Kinjo is my number 2 pick. Number 3 pick is Countess Sanash. Number 4 pick is Revealer. And my number 5 pick is the Ever Hungry Skull. So if you were to, for example, look to prioritize some market purchases in the future around these Chaos Legion reward cards for potential, appreciation purposes, certainly not financial advice, but these would be, as of right now, my top 5 picks for general usefulness and desirability in the future and moving forward. So there you have it, my breakdown of these Chaos Legion reward cards. Again, I think for this particular set, they are certainly more specialized than generalist, where in the past, in the previous reward set, you had things like the Pellicore Mercenary, the Pellicore Conjurer, the Pellicore Bandit, et cetera, where there's just generally useful cards across all scenarios. And here, this particular release, I do believe that these cards are more specialized in the use case, but when they're used in those use cases, they are essential. So if this video has been beneficial for you, please consider smashing the like button, subscribing to the channel, joining our members club if you would like more timely access to content like this, as well as weekly chats with myself around topics of the meta and the card market. And until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.